Okay, folks, happy Friday evening. TGIF, and now it's TGIF. Back for more painting. Take my medicine before I forget. So we've got the second cavalryman on the third cav stand. Nearly done. Mr. Kevin, welcome. Funny thing is, it doesn't show you as a viewer. The Arizona Ninja. All right. So let's see what we've got left. Well, that's not him. That's the one that's completely done. All right, we got to finish up the horse a little bit. And hooves and back of the shield, that's about it. You see that all the time. Yeah, well, now there's three. So now you're one of three. I don't know. It's a Chinese trick. When in doubt, it's a Chinese trick. All right. Let's... Man, this thing is sealed on well. No sign of mold. Penny check. No mold on the pennies. Okay. All right, we got a strap that goes across the bottom. Let's go ahead and knock that out. All the colors should be fairly active. I've been staying up way too late actually all these days because it hasn't been close to midnight till I've been going to bed. And I'm up at 5, so we're popping some coffee here to try to get some extra motivation. Because right now I'm kind of like, I could get these guys done. I definitely could get these guys done. But I got to stay on track. Like I said, I don't mind fudging figures. I just, I don't want to have to come back from the show and work on something that I've been working on for a few months already. I'd rather work on something new. Whatever the hell that might be. Or, start talking about what it could be next with Mitch and place the order en route. And by the time I get back from the show, the stuff's probably almost home. But I know a couple things that I want to do, but I'm apprehensive. I don't go and purchase things until I'm ready to pull the trigger on it, because I've fallen into that trap way too many times. All right, the red that's here is this one. This is the scarlet. So let's use. We need more air. It's way too low. As some guys were talking about video games yesterday, And one of the guys was mentioning, yeah, this game that I used to play that was like the battles of Alexander and Hannibal and stuff like that. And I'm like, I looked it up today, and it was called Great Battles of something or another. And it looks really similar to some of the other stuff by the company called Talonsoft. It used to be called Talonsoft. And but I've never seen those before. Of course, they were like from 1997. 1997, I didn't even think about doing anything Ancients. We're still 7 years away from that. Still a ways away from that. Hell, I don't even have a computer in 1997. Not one I could use, not my own. It wasn't until February 1999. And then that one lasted about 4 or 5 years. Till like 2004. And that one lasted 4 years. You know, it worked well enough without issues for that long. And this one I just got before the pandemic. So in 2020. So it is now over 2 years old. So we'll see how long it lasts. Hopefully a long time. I'm not running anything super demanding on it. But I don't think I'll ever get another desktop again. They just take up too much space. And like if I go on a trip, I'll take this thing with me. You know, so. But I leave it connected all the time while I'm using it. Except now. Ha! Caught myself. My intention was to, but I unplug everything. I don't leave things connected. Be some electrical surge and I'll fry my computer. And I really don't need to go out and buy another one. Got my hands full. All right. What do we got left on here? We gotta put some socks on some of these. I find it very strange to just do two. I like doing the whole thing. I like doing all four of them or none of them. Skylab. Worried about surges. Is there a storm? No, I just not tonight. I just don't leave my computer connected. You know, so I forgot to plug it back in. I've been known to wake up at midnight, like hear a storm rolling through. I'll wake up at midnight, run to the TV, and unplug it. You know, I mean it's an older TV now, but I want to take care of the stuff that I have. You know, storms everywhere but here. Yeah, we had a little bit. We had some booms at work. Well, if it rains all day tomorrow, no lawn mowing. That means more painting. really don't want to pay somebody to mow a lawn because that's not what the going rate is. I made $5 when I was a kid mowing a lawn. I'll give you 10. Oh no, you want 70? Well, you can go fly a freaking kite. That's a lot of dollars per hour. No, thank you. I don't mind the storms because I don't mind the rain. I don't mind the rain because it's 105 the other day. Just brutal. Unless you're at the beach half naked. I don't like that kind of heat. And we should be on tomorrow morning again. But it won't be working on this figure because this got to be done. Not much left on him. I said, I don't really know how long I'm going to be on here. My eyes are particularly tired, and not from, seeing up close. They're just irritated. I don't know how successful I'm going to be because I'm pretty tired. It's funny how you yawn when you're tired, but if you go to sleep, you don't yawn in your sleep. That's weird. Mysteries of science. I'm sure it's a good enough reason, but I'm not that interested in looking it up. I wonder what happened is that old couple. Well, I don't know if they were that old, but older couple that moved to Arizona. They were DBA people. They basically stopped playing when I started playing. He's a husband and wife, and they moved to Arizona around 2005 or something like that. 2005. Never to be heard from again. Arizona has a unique flag. It's Southwest Rainbow or something like that. Not really rainbow, but there's so many state flags that are just butt ass ugly. That's not one of them. I'm talking about the ones that, like New York and shit like that. It's like it has colors and then it has some kind of an emblem on it. It's a not very attractive emblem. I mean, we have a seal. We have a seal on our flag, but I wonder why they left the. They didn't feel like they had to modify the flag. I mean, it seems like they take Native Americans off everything. There's a Native American on the seal of Florida. I'm surprised they didn't take it off. People are happier when they don't remember those people, the different folks. I know what. We'll take the Native American right off the butter completely. It's not like changing the logo or something like that. Paint clumps up on the bristles. One of the manufacturers that I like of miniatures is a company called QRF, Quick Reaction Force. And they got a lot of stuff there. They got modern 18th century, 19th century stuff. They actually have quite a big range. Obviously, I'm not interested in any of that stuff. Just the feudals and the ancients, which are 450 BC and 450 AD and earlier. And in the feudals, they've got some Scots that I want to get for my pre-feudal Scots. And the guy that was normally taking care of that ended up leaving QRF. So they moved the whole plan. I don't know exactly what the details are. but they moved the plant. It had been a few months since they closed down. And I got this email, or I found out about that they discontinued a lot of their lines or stopped producing them for, like a month and a half, so that, they can move the equipment and stuff like that to their new facility. So I'm told. And I saw an advert from them saying, for the rest of the for the rest of the month of June, everything was going to be like 20% off or something like that, or maybe it's even 25% off. But I just don't find that very tempting, because all I'm going to do is buy stuff that I may not paint. And I don't mean not paint them because I have extra figures. I mean not paint them at all. So I got to do whatever it takes to not fall in that rabbit hole. But anyways, the pre-feudal Scots, they've got some figures for them that I would like to mix in with the Essex guys that I have at some point. But I don't need to do them in a particular order. I don't need to do them next. So we will see how that plays out. Like I said, I don't know how long I'm going to be on here, because I'm fading pretty fast. So that's why if there's one night not to go out and do things, it's Friday night, and I'm burned out from the whole week. I mean, it's only 7:15, so. Storms everywhere. As long as you're not at work, they're a pain in the ass when I have to deal with them at work. Okay, that's done. Let's do his beard. You hate tinfoil. Sliced my finger good on it. Really? On tinfoil? Maybe that thing on the end that, that has that you like rip it or whatever. I don't know. That's what you get for cooking, pal. I hate anything that's a cut on your fingertips, because it'll just bleed for a week. Seems like it. Even if you can't even feel it. Okay, good. Well, I was just mentioning how I need to wake the hell up or I'm going to stop painting. And I don't really want to stop painting, so I don't know. Maybe we can have a brawl over Hannibal and Alexander. Well, pretty much everybody's going to agree that those guys are number 1 and 2. Who's 3? Who's the third best general? We're not talking Napoleon. So I've seen on some polls, like, people rate like Napoleon higher than anybody else. I honestly don't. I don't know why. I'm not saying he's a dumbass or anything. I'm just saying that, that's not really my area of experience. We're just talking about ancients and medieval. Who's number 3? Heavy-duty tinfoil was pudding and cooking. Can't we just talk hot women? Yeah, I'm not single. I can't go there. Got to keep it civilized. Cooking, putting in a cooking tray, and slice goes my finger. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a problem with tinfoil. There's the set of rules that I first started playing for Ancients Actually, we took a road trip down to Tampa, and there was a set of rules I picked up called Armadis. I wanted to play Renaissance Spanish, and Armadi actually runs into the Renaissance period, all the way in like 1600. And they kind of handle things a little bit differently. They don't have pips, which, you know, pips are really brilliant. See if I got my Armadi rules here handy. I do, I just don't remember where the hell they are. I'll look for them for a little bit. They should be here on top. Mitch and Joel was actually thinking about giving them a swing. I said, you figure out how to play, and I'll play with you guys. I bought the rules around 1996, 1997, something like that. And I never got anything painted for it, because I'm one of those folks that I have to learn how to play the game a little bit before I have a frame of reference to read what the hell I'm reading about. That's just the way I operate. And I never got off the ground. And about 2003, there was a post on some gamer bulletin board in Florida, one of the Florida groups, said this guy was going to put on an Armadi game on how to play Armadi. And I'm like, man, I'll rush down there, and, you know, I've been waiting for years for this. So I rushed down there to learn how to play the game. Had a blast playing it. And I'm like, well, who plays this? Oh, we run it all the time at the convention. I said, which convention? Oh, the one you already go to? I'm like, well, shit, I'll just show up and play some Armadi. So there I go with the intention of our playing Armadi at the next HMGS South Convention in Tampa. That was 2004. That was September 2004. I think I know where it is now. It's not here. Yep. And I show up on Saturday morning. It's like, yeah, we got loaner armies. I'm like, okay, cool. So I show up on Saturday morning. I'm like, where is everybody? Oh, the whole Armadi group decided to stop playing. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, there was some tiff with the creator of the rules, Artie Conliff, and there was a falling out. And they had been playing Armadi all along at the show, you know, like tournament style. I don't care about tournaments. I just want to be able to play with my own figures that I collect and paint. You know, it's not that it's competitive, you know. The competitive part, you know, you can still play competitive even though it's not a tournament. But nobody showed up to play. And then Marty was running this other game called DBA and decided to play that, and the rest is history. But I went with the intention of playing this. Now, there's things I like about this better than DBA, and there's things that I like about DBA better than this. But the reality is nobody plays this, and this is a hell of a lot more troops. And this has one thing I absolutely hate, and that is the hidden deployment. So you put some kind of a barrier and you set up without the other person seeing you. That just cuts the crap, you know. Like, that just ties the game down a little bit longer. Napoleon's tactics were very predictable. I consider Scipio a much better general than Hannibal. I think Scipio is the best Roman commander. I wouldn't say he's better than Hannibal. Scipio had better support. Hannibal just wasn't supported by anybody. Just imagine if, like, Hannibal, like, controlled the whole country, like Alexander. But I will tell you this, and I've experienced this in battle myself. Sometimes when you have a shittier hand of cards, and by shittier hand of cards meaning, you know, a crappier army, whatever it is, you play better. So, maybe he wouldn't have done as well if he had more support, Think you solved your problem. Too many things you want to paint. I'll get a little several different periods. Scipio beat Hannibal. That's all you need to know. Hannibal was too consumed with revenge. I will give you that. Absolutely. I'm not going to argue with that. Absolutely. Hannibal was all about revenge. There's no doubt about it. I'm not arguing with you. Alexander was like ego and megalomania, though. And he did a lot of sharp things, like all those sieges and stuff that he pulled out. I mean, you can't do that in the DBA army list. You don't have the troop types for that. But I think in DBA, the hypaspists are just totally wrong. I think, and we'll eventually get to the point where we'll do some of Alexander's battles, and we're going to have to tinker with his army list, because I just don't think the hypaspists are correct in the DBA list. They're just too freaking weak, So, but the more I read about Hannibal, I'm not going to read more about Hannibal because I've read a lot of books on him, and the one that was done by the guy that was in the Civil War that followed his path through the Alps and all that kind of shit. That'd be kind of cool to kind of try to trace that, but they're still kind of like don't even know which way he went. But the more I read about Alexander, the less I like him. And that doesn't mean I don't think he was a genius or anything. I just don't like him as a person. I still don't think he's, any worse than the Persians. There's people out there that are, the whole crowd that say, the English are one of the worst empires in the world. The same crowd says, well, Alexander was just horrible. Well, I mean, he did go on the offense. But, it's like Napoleon. Do you consider Napoleon a bad guy? I don't think so. Warmonger, maybe, but, so is everybody else. But the more I read about Alexander, and probably the best thing I've read about him is that whole lecture that was like 26 or 27 hours that was done by that professor from Tulane that was really, really good. And he's a big Alexander fan. And, but the more I read about him, the less I like the guy. I mean, I'm like, all right, so he's on the offense. He wants to pay the Persians back. Hey, I'm all for that. I understand that. That makes sense to me. But then he goes and, visits that place in Siwa, and he thinks he's a god, and he wants to be worshipped and venerated, and all right, oh, well, he's winning battles, that kind of stuff. And then he kicks the shit out of Gaugamela, all right, he's all that. But then he's like, he's wanting to Persiafy. If your whole point in going after the Persians is payback, don't turn into freaking Persia. Like Hannibal didn't want to turn Carthage into Rome. He didn't want to Romify Carthage. Carthage had a lot of problems. They didn't support him at all, and I don't like the Carthaginians to begin with. So, let's see. I like Alexander's army better. I like Macedonians better than Carthaginians. It's not even close. So, I just think that, if you give Hannibal Alexander's army, he kicks ass with it. If you give Alexander Hannibal's army, I don't think he's going to go very far. Hannibal's army sucks. I mean, it really does. I mean, so I was thinking about, we're going to do this. Mitch doesn't know this yet, but we're going to do this. We're going to play, we're not going to take Hannibal and Alexander head to head, because Alexander will crush him, because the army is just not even close. Hannibal's army is just garbage. Without special rules for a commander, and most rules don't have that. What we're going to do is we're going to take Hannibal and we're going to fight Hannibal against Alexander's enemies. And then we're going to take Alexander, and we're going to fight. We're going to take Hannibal's army, and we're going to fight the enemies, the guys that Alexander fought. And then we're going to take Alexander's army and fight the guys that the Carthaginians fought, and just see how it goes. You know, just for yucks. The problem a lot of modern people have with viewing history is they judge people by our standards, not the standards of the time. I don't think I tend to, but I don't forgive that whole sacrificing your children thing. That's just, you know, that's just nonsense. Alexander's belief in himself as a god is very contemporary. Something happened a lot, actually. His dream was to meld the cultures of East and West. He didn't Persify so much, melded the two. All right. Hold on 1 second. Didn't Persify as much as melded the two. Well, to quote the legends, I do not fear an army of lions led by sheep. I fear an army of sheep led by a lion. Says it all. Oh, so he's afraid of Hannibal. Well, I'm naturally conservative, so I don't appreciate the melding of the two. But hey, that's just me. I wouldn't be conquering people. I like leaving people alone, so. So our Armadi, what I wanted to get at is, they have a thing with command structure where you have to you're limited by how many groups you have of heavies and lights. And I just wanted to see how those two armies stacked up. And like medieval armies, for instance, are extremely inflexible. They are not very good at all. So Carthaginian, for instance, they have 6 heavy commands and 5 light commands. And Alexander has 4 heavy commands and 5 light commands. Breakpoint 2, initiative 6, so it gives them a higher initiative, which is what you add to your die 10 each turn to see who gets to go first. See, here it gives the Hypaspists. The cool thing about Armadi is it gives them an attack to a frontal value and a side value. And, you know, so not everybody's pikemen, for instance, would be the same. And here the Hypaspists have an attack factor of 8 to the front. And the Phalanx has a 7, so they rate them really, really well. I think the Hypaspists are just... A solid auxilia is just way too weak. Way too weak. Anyhow. They said they were gonna play that. And figure out I want to play it. I'll play it. I'm not stuck on. On getting all Phil Barker's type of stuff. Hannibal's more like a frenzied baboon than a lion. You think crossing the Alps and losing half his army was stupid? I don't know that he lost half his army. He got ambushed by a lot of people. He lost a lot more than half of his elephants, that's for sure. Yeah. Well, be it as it may. If I have an army and I got to give it a commander to one of those two guys, I'm giving it to Hannibal because Alexander, you know, it just depends on how you want to fight. Alexander's like a Harbach. he likes to go in there and charge with the Knight General and hope to God things work out. Because if they don't, he just got hit by a roof tile, so to speak. And Hannibal's more of a manager. I'm not talking about overall frickin' strategy. You can't really compare the two in overall strategy. One guy has complete control over their nation and has an army that was basically handed to him. And the other guy has no support from home and is basically, started the Second Punic War basically on revenge. But Hannibal's more of a manager, and Alexander's more of a, hey, I'll lead by example. I'll show you how to do it. And he just got lucky and a lot of bravado. And hey, Tony, I figured out how to. I will base a Roman legion in 6 mil. A 60 millimeter by 60 millimeter base will be one cohort. I don't know that any game does it right. The thing that really sucks about this game is if you set up wrong, you can wheel so little every turn. And it's just kind of dumb. How does it even... Well, this one has built-in units. So like the whole stand is... the whole stand is... No, they have Hastati stands and Principe stands and Triarii stands. Yeah, I have to mess with that. It'd be something to just be interesting to see how it looks like them. They all have the same rating. 7s to the front. I played it one time. That way, what's different about that one is you get to pick which side you start doing the combats in, and you have to keep going that direction. So you can't just hop around and pick your best options. So, but then skirmishers and light horse and stuff can attack at a distance, which is how they should do it. But anywho. Every rule set has things you like and things you don't like, How large are the units of Armati? Well, the intro game is about the size of DBA, and then you can just go crazy. But the nice thing about Armati, and is the same thing with name escapes me. Impetus is not every army is the same size. So I was actually looking to see if there was a replay of the rules that were done by the Little Wars people, which is called Age of Hannibal, and just see how they play. But, it's not... Again, you've got a set of rules that only does ancients. I like the fact that you could do medievals, too, because it's not like I only like ancients, I don't like medieval stuff, Mr. Ben. You played any of the Field of Glory on the computer? I think it's pretty decent. And I think the computer does an okay job of challenging you. The biggest problem with the computer is that when you start a battle, you can only set up so far in on the battlefield, and until you come within a certain range of the units, the computer won't react to you. That's really the only gripe that I have about it. But it actually works pretty good with the Field of Glory Empires. I've been playing that off and on in the mornings for, I don't know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes a day. And I had to pick somebody that was way off in the corner. Not somebody I was going to do really well with. So I picked like the Goths or something. And, it starts in 301 BC. So, the Goths are have one little land. And they have, only warband and that kind of stuff. Just to keep it simple to kind of do the other stuff around. And I think I'm tumbling into I tussled with the Sarmatians this morning. And it's a problem because, they're all heavy cavalry. And kind of hard to stop heavy cavalry with warband. All right, a couple things I wanted to do. I needed to drop a little black line across this. These two things kind of blended together unintentionally, so. All right, let's go one size down and do his beard. We don't have very much left on this guy, and we can start working on the other one. Okay. I'm not real picky on what color this needs to be. The little tie wrap on the horse's tail, so something like this should work just fine. And then thinking about something else the other day we were talking about. I know we talked about Arthur, how I hate Arthur. It's just make-believe. I was trying to think there was somebody else out there that I also didn't care for. But maybe not. Yeah, I'd never build an Arthurian army. No. And they make decent figures for them, but I'm like, wishful thinking. I want to say there's somebody else, but maybe there wasn't. Somebody is really, really popular, and I'm like, nah, that guy again. I think we're going to call this guy done. So now we're up to 2. Let's put both of these guys next to each other. And you see the problem is the boss is of different sizes. And I I had to kind of make the pattern consistent with the size of the boss of each one of them. So if you take a guy like this one, he's got, did I grab the right one? Yeah. You take a guy like this, you have the boss of that size. This one has a much smaller boss. So I've got to make the orange smaller, otherwise it would overextend the size of the boss. Yeah, whatever. You know, it is what it is. Well, that's two of the figures of that stand. So, honestly, don't care much. Armies different period going at it. I didn't either, but it's just a way for me to paint, to play with the things I've painted. And I like to paint the different periods because I get to learn about the different periods. That's it. But if you told me, yeah, we're going to get Flames of War. Well, what's my next battle? Americans versus Brits. I'm like, no, that's stupid. I'm not doing that with World War II. You also don't care about how Flames of War, the World War II games have Americans fighting Americans. But yeah, I can't do that. Nope. Just doesn't work for me, you know? Absolutely not. That's like sacrilegious. You're intrigued by Two Fat Lardy's rules. Dux Britannium, which is, of course, Age of Arthur. Ah! Well, poo. Started a campaign with the Persian download compact for empires and the Egyptians, and once the Persians started steamrolling, it's ended up as me and Lydia trying to put a damper on their plans. They still look good. Yeah, you know, I'm going to encounter problems, and you just freaking deal with it. Yeah, I wanted to play the Lydians in that. It was just too big. It's just too overwhelmingly big, you know, having that many zones. So I do like it. I'm having trouble not transferring every single battle over. But there's some battles I'll look at it and I'm like, 8-1. I'm like, nah, let the computer play that. But I just had a battle the other day where I went to attack. I had 9 units and they had 12 and I beat them soundly. But, you know, I mean, I know how to play the game. You know, so it's fun. But it's not something I can just sit there and play all day. You know, it's like, let me see some combat or whatever. But it is kind of, I think I'm gonna enjoy playing the shittier countries better that start with like one zone, or you know, maybe I'll take the Irish or something like that. I'm not gonna sit there and like, yeah, let me play Antigonus. I'm like, you know, he's got like, I don't know, 50 zones or something like that. I'm like, that's just not my idea of a good time, you know. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll start, I'll play Pyrrhus and go march on Rome and stomp it like I did in the intro game. And I'm like, all right, now what do we do with this? You know? My boy Pyrrhus. Yeah, I husband those elephants like nobody's business. So there's a lot of stuff that, you know, I'm interested in computer gaming, but it's all for inspiration for doing this. Like one of the armies that I've talked about that I'm looking, we're going to fix the black stuff on this guy and make sure we have it all in the right place so we get started on them, places that we missed. But one of the armies that's on my to-do list, on my really short to-do list, and I mean like they may be the next one, is the Huns. And the reason they're the next one is it works with what Mitch is getting. Mitch is getting an army that the Huns are all the enemy of them. He's got some Chinese troops coming. So if that's the case, then I'm probably going to do a morph of Huns of all the Hun versions, including the White Huns, who are a really interesting army because they have an elephant, they have a cavalry unit, an elephant, 8 light horse, and 2 elements that can be fast bows as well. But I have Total War Attila that I haven't really messed around with, and you can play them in Total War Attila. So I'm like, okay, well, when I get close to playing that, maybe we'll switch over to Total War Attila and play that. But it's not to just sit there and like, what'd you do all weekend? Oh, I just played a video game. I can't really play it more than an hour. You know, it's just mainly just to take a break from this. Oh, this is the guy that has the padded jacket. Interesting. We're probably gonna do light blue on his jacket, to be honest with you. It's either that like or light red, almost like it's pinkish, but is pink gonna work better with this or light blue? I'm thinking light blue is probably gonna look better. Not too light, but a lighter blue than the shield color. But I find that the battles in Field of Glory I'm enjoying more than Total War, because Total War just kind of turns into the same thing. You just come in, you create a barrier to hold them, and you come around and just take them from the rear, and every game just turns into that. And I just get lazy. Sometimes, you're trying to move. I don't want to pause it every 3 seconds and give commands. I like things running a little bit. And sometimes, you end up making incompetent things because, you passed a point and now they're going to get caught with their pants down and that kind of stuff. I prefer the Field of Glory battles. The computer's a lot more challenging, I think, in Field of Glory. So I did not know you would have to play the Saxons because they're my people. Well, that's kind of why I did the Goths. I figure I got some Ostrogoth, Visigoth blood in me. That's how I'm explaining the light-colored eyes. That's my story. Big Man Studios did the banners and shield designs for Field of Glory. And that's really cool. I'm a little disappointed about something about that time period armies. So I came across and I did some research on the Goths, and there's this shield that apparently everybody makes, and I didn't know that they were called a coffin shield. And it's basically a square shield, or squarish. It's tapered a little bit, and it has the top of it almost looks like a keyhole. Not like a keyhole? Yeah, I guess it'd be like a keyhole. You've seen it's a coffin shield. It's on everything. It's in Phil Barker's book, and apparently common knowledge seems to be, or common interpretation is that it's all fabricated and they never really used it. And that's a shame, because Old Glory has a lot of guys with those coffin shields. Well, everybody does. So, I might just have to hold my breath and do it anyways. You called it. Mitch is in the Army, something Eastern. Well, I don't want to brag about it too much because something could happen and he may not get it. But he's supposed to pick it up. Some nice stuff. I bet the designs on the screen now are in the game on Byzantine units. I didn't find it very inspirational. They had those stupid claw things. Gonna paint lances with stripes? No. A little too early for that. They had this couple designs, the Byzantine designs I can't stand, which is the claw and the feather. And they just look dumb as shit. You can put them in your army. I ain't putting them in mine. So... mix of Saxon, Viking, Irish, Scottish, English, and German. You can literally follow the conquest of those people through my DNA. Yeah, I don't have a big affinity towards the ancient Spanish. I don't know why. I guess I could do that as well. It's just fun to kind of tinker with it. And not play, the super armies in that game. Like I said, the first thing I did the intro game, and I didn't know how to run the economy. In one turn, I marched Pyrrhus's army, one thing, got into a fight with the Romans. I took like 3% casualties, and they took like 60-something. And then the next turn, I'm like, well, frick, let's march on Rome. And I marched on Rome. We're outside Rome. They outnumbered me significantly. They got crushed. I took Rome, and they give me like 50,000 points. I'm like, that's a bit too many points. And then it's like, okay, you won the scenario. Yeah, but I didn't learn how to use the country at all. Because I literally didn't build anything. Like, I didn't know what to, do. So I think I'm gonna play, the poor Burgundians. They start on an island in the middle of the Baltic. And it's not even Gotland. It's a tiny little island. And I didn't want to mess with a country that had ships, because that's just another realm of trying to learn stuff. So we'll tinker around with these guys for a little bit, and then we'll do something else. But it was a steal. It was like $20 or something like that. I'm like, all right, I'll get $20 worth of inspiration out of this. Goths, or what are they called? Gothones. Gothones is how it's spelled. Tony and the Gothones. It's all like superior warband, solid warband, loose warband, skirmishers, and a light horse or two. Very few. I mean, you can build whatever you want, but Field of Glory allows you to build stuff in the game, manage territory you are. I may have to give it a look. It's inspirational. I think the tactical game's okay. I wish it had pips. That's really the only thing I wish it had pips. And it seems like the generals don't have any huge effect like in the game. Like, if you have a general within range, you get like a free 45 millimeter movement with your guys. Like, ooh, it's just not that big a deal. The sub-commanders and stuff. So... when I look at a video game, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get tired of it eventually. How much does it cost? And am I going to get that money out of it? I was going to play Lydia, and then I'm like, man, they start off with like 12 zones. I'm like, I'm not there yet. I hope they come out with some good figures for them. Because the figures that are out for Lydians kind of are uninspiring. Now, Zyston did make some Lydian spearmen, hoplites, or proto-hoplites, but they don't have the cavalry. The cavalry are kind of like Macedonians in that, they've got helmets, unarmored horses, and their impact to a degree. Almost forgot, you took out Das Boot from the old local library today. Haven't seen it in a long time. I thought the first time I saw it was really boring. The second time I watched it was a lot better. Definitely better than... What's the Tom Hanks one? God. I did not like that with freaking communicating through the speaker. Why do they gotta do all this stupid anachronistic shit, Like, who do we think we are? Stupid? Yeah, well, most people watching it are stupid. I'll give them that. Let's do a lighter color. Let's use the cork brown horse for this guy. I think you could figure out how to play Civilization a lot easier. I know there's a lot of stuff going on, but I'm taking it in really small doses. Doses. It's enjoyable. It definitely wasn't like, here, have Rome. No. Yeah. Yeah, the Destroy Escort movie. Yeah, there's parts of it that were cool, but then, they made up the names of all these freaking ships, and, They had to put a U.S. destroyer in there so, the American audience can relate, Wasn't good enough to do some British... a British ship and the Western approach is gray. They had to put a Fletcher-class destroyer. I mean, come on, man. the battle in the Atlantic had already been going on for 3 years. All right, this is going to be our base color. So, Ben, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, we got to put American guys in there so we can relate. Come on, man. World War II didn't start after Pearl Harbor. Big G2. Last time I played Gandhi. Effing nuke one of my cities and the remaining civilization. I played one of them. I forget which one it was, whether it was the first or the second one. All I remember is stupid with Aztec battleships. Like, what the F? No. Lots of people swear by that. I played it a little bit, and, back when we had it was probably on the 386. Like, oh, the Russians are here. Dun, 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 dun. That was either the first or the second one. I don't know what it was, but I'm like, not really for me. And then, even something like Age of Empires, I wouldn't play Age of Empires anymore. It's just too hokey. It's not for me. I want something a little bit more period specific. Just look out for your metal stockpile on empires. As Egypt, I had next to none except bronze from Cyprus, so I had to conquer Sinai to get some mines. What I haven't figured out is if you had some of your territories that, like, one of them's doing furs and the other one is doing like wool, and do you have to trade within your own territories, or is it already taken care of? I need to almost start again, because I feel like I'm missing some details on some of the menus. I've got the battle shit down. I can, just put me in, and I got the battle stuff down. But some of the battle stuff is, like I said, it's better than DBA. The way it's handled, skirmishers and all that stuff, light horse, and I've played a lot of it. I played in a couple tournaments, and that is not what I need to do. That is a colossal waste of time with people you'll never meet, and people that'll quit in the middle of a game, and that kind of shit. No honor crap, but the game's entertaining. It is. It's certainly worth the $20 or whatever it is. But I think when I start over, I'm going to pick maybe somebody who's maybe has 2 zones or something like that. Maybe the Irish or the Caledonians or something like that. What I haven't been figured out is, I've made inroads on this other country, and it's got these hash marks that are through the territories that I've taken them over, but I almost feel like they're not mine until we sign a treaty and the war's over. They won't change over completely to my color. It's going to be one of those things that I need to start a dozen games. By the time I do the dozen games, I'll have a good grasp of it. Because the next time, I'm still on my first game. The next time I play a game, there's already things that I'm going to know. I'm like, okay, this is what you do with this, I didn't realize that, I'm running around with all these aging tokens. I've got 4 aging tokens. And I'm like, all right, what the hell does this mean? So I look it up, and I'm like, oh, that's basically negative points. So you have to go over your objectives. Well, now I've taken the objectives that it gives me the objectives there. It wasn't really in the way I wanted to expand in. I wanted to expand towards northern Germany, not really towards Carpathia. But, now I know that. So the next game I do, I'm like, oh, okay, plan that around a little bit better. The internal train's automatic. If you have resources nearby, the building panel should say the requirement is met. If not, it will say trade required. Okay. Yes, you have to enact a treaty or conquer them completely to acquire the territory fully. There's also the big penalties on the conquered regions for being conquered. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, but it's not something that I'm just going to be like, I'm going to spend all weekend playing it. You know, it's good for an hour. So like the mornings this week, I'm like, well, I'm not going to paint for 40 minutes. So let's fool around with that for a little bit. And I want to do something that has nothing to do with ships. Nothing to do with ships. Because I don't have a clue how the naval combat is. And that's the same thing with Rome Total War. I can't, I've even watched demos how to do the ships in Rome Total War. I'm just like, that's just not me. I'm not into that. But I do want to do a Fall of Rome big battle. Everybody's on the big board type thing. Like I remember that one game in Historicon that I absolutely loved. It also helped that I was in the meat of the action, and I came out on top too. But it was kind of like it was like a game within a game, and everybody was moving at the same time. I forget exactly how they did it. You must have like gone around the table and you took turns or something like that. But I would like to do something like that with our group. I think it would be cool. With like late Romans and against Franks and Saxons and Huns, Ostrogoths, Visigoths, Suevi, Burgundians, Thuringians, all that kind of stuff. I think it'd be cool. And I don't mind Warband. I just don't want to play them in an open tournament in DBA. Where you just get crushed, you have no chance to win. But they do have epic results that happen. It's great to talk about stuff like that. One thing you do is wait for a big neighbor to be in a losing war, and then scamper in, steal a few regions, let the other guy eat the majority of them. Yep. Then you don't need to make peace. Steam summer sale just ended yesterday. It was like half off. Yep, that's why I jumped on it. Most fun you ever had was DBA doing a Mediterranean Sea campaign. Yeah, it's good for inspiration. No matter how much fun those video games are, I don't really have. Well, we're talking about it here, but this is like the only thing I can talk about. It's basically just, keeping to yourself kind of thing. And wargaming for me has always been a social thing. So, and for the longest time, Mitch had a laptop that worked and I didn't have one. And now I've had one and his doesn't work. So we don't have a working laptop at both times. Otherwise, we'd be throwing down some of that Pike and Shot. I love that game. That's a great game, and I think it represents the period pretty well. And that's dirt cheap. You can get that for $10. That's worth every freaking penny of that. My only gripe is it's got a fair number of historical battles, but you can only play them from one side or the other. So if it's got like all the major battles like the French War of Religions, but you can either play like this one you can only play the Catholics, this one you can only play the Huguenots. Kind of kind of sad that that's the case because I want to play every side, but Yeah, it is what it is. English Civil War. They got the English Civil War in that game too. I don't really care for it, but too many of the units are all kind of the same. But not a fan of Civil Wars. Both sides are tend to be too similar for my taste. They run a sale on Steam runs a sale like every. I think the last one was around early May, so maybe every couple months or something like that. All right, I think I'm gonna. What time is it? Yeah, we're gonna make ourselves a little bit more coffee. I'll be right back. Okay. Da-da-da-da-da. Gonna hit the head. Don't hit your head on the head. I was on my Bronze Age kick, I was playing Chariots of Bronze Age by Matrix Games for inspiration. That's a hidden gem. I haven't heard of it. Only game I've seen where you can eject foreign diplomats and cut their hands off as punishment for spying. Chariots of Bronze Age, huh? Matrix stuff is all over the place. Some stuff is really good, and some of it is just... A lot of it is just presentation. Do I like the way it's presented? You know? I'm going to write that on here. Chariots of Bronze Age. Yeah. Why? You know, I didn't have any Book 1 armies at all. And then I did the Amorites. I almost forgot that I did them. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this is fun. I'll do other ones. And then I found 2 other Book 1 armies that I want to do, but I don't have figures for either one of them. But that's Illyrians and Paeonians. And both of them are what I call shitty armies. And that's what I want to do. I want to do armies that, you know, you don't want to take to an open. But they're armies that other people don't do and do have a lot of character. You know, and the Illyrians, Alexander had... Well, there's one of the campaigns in the Alexander GMT game where he's got to fight the Illyrians. And they're not represented correctly with the... We'll have to tinker with some of the 4-ox stuff. You know, that's what I want to do. Historical scenarios better, because then you can tinker with however it is that you want to kind of make, you know, the decisions that historical commanders would have had to make. You know, not necessarily translate them to always play with them all the time in a game, because one of the beauties about DBAs, you could just show up and start rolling dice, you know, which is, you know, ultimately what I want to do. I want to start rolling dice with my own troops. You know, could I make a better game? Maybe, but, you know, then you got nobody playing with you, so you lose that aspect of the hobby. That I think is a real strong point of it. And I do get a kick out of painting these troops that look less than exciting looking. This is a bad example what I'm playing right now, but you know, peasant type folks, like Huns, a whole army of Huns. Yeah, they're basically dressed in, you know, uncolorful clothing for the most part. But based on my experience that I've done with the Amorites and my Irish and who else? Dracula's army, and I want to say one other one. I enjoy painting those peasant-looking folks and making them look interesting. So, well, we'll see what treasures I find at Historicon, if any, that I'm not going to be able to not buy them because they're only $1 a pack kind of thing. Or I don't know, maybe they're up to $2 a pack with inflation, but there's always stuff that you find there at the flea market that nobody wants. Everybody's just tired of looking at. I thought Joe would be on here. Maybe he had plans tonight. Maybe he's on here taking notes. Silent like ninja. But I am enjoying the Empires thing. You know, I started watching a video on how to play, and I'm like, I need to I need a frame of reference. I need to play this for 10 hours, tinker with it with 10 hours where I can find out where things aren't, and then I'll watch the videos and enjoy that. But they put a lot of effort into it. There's kind of like a little mini history lesson at the beginning of each nation, and there's so many freaking nations. So they've definitely put some effort into it, because you literally can play anybody that's a nation on the board. You know, you can. It's not like, well, you can only play the main players. You literally can play anybody, and you know, you probably can't win with everybody, but I don't think that's not my purpose, to win the game and have the highest score of everybody else. You know, it's just kind of go through the little struggles and see how you do. Gates of Troy, Legion. I've heard of Legion Gold. Haven't played it, but I've heard of Legion Gold. They have one that's for the phone, and I don't remember what it's called, but it's extremely basic. Hex War or something like that. And I played one of them a bit. It's just a little way too basic. Yeah, what I don't have time for is like board games, because I'm just never going to get around to reading the rules. I just don't have it in me to want to learn. I just, you know, with a computer game, if it's decent, I can start clicking on it. I'm like, okay, I can't do that. Why can't I do that? You know, you can't move too far. It won't let you. You know, you can't do illegal stuff. So, you not drinking your coffee. Yeah. Caffeine helps the pores in your brain work better. It's my drug of choice. It's the only drug. Vitamin caffeine. I don't drink that much of it, but enough to open up the pores in your brain. It's funny, this particular horse is a gladiator horse, and gladiator horses are hit or misses, because some of their horses, especially like their medievals and some of their Renaissance stuff, are just dogs. They're horrible looking, and they're all the same pose, and they're like fat in all the wrong places, you know? Yeah, see, I wouldn't mind playing that game, Blazing Chariots or Barbarossa thing, as a counter game on computer. Because I'm like, okay, I want to start playing it. And it's, you know, it's saved at my last point. I don't have to put everything away. I don't have to, like, accidentally move wrong, you know. It's not that I'm opposed to counter games. There's lots of counter games that look pretty decent. I just don't want to put things away in a package and stuff. I want to be able to, like, save where it was. I also can't imagine playing something like that solitaire. I'd have to, like, film it and, like, talk to myself, which would be okay, you know. You haven't had caffeine in almost 2 years. Well, I hear it's bad for you, but you know what? You get things done. I would not want to go to work with that caffeine. That's not in my job description. Well, lots of people enjoy counter games. They're a lot more popular than miniature games. But I don't think I'd want to go to a counter game convention. I have a feeling most people are, most gamers I'm probably not going to have much fun with, to be honest with you. If you watched our videos, we have a lot of fun. Maybe we have too much fun sometimes, but that's what we're there for. We'll never see you again if you try Gary Grigsby War in the East on PC. It's so depth it boggles my mind. So, the Eastern Front game I used to play all the time, and I can never remember what it's called. And it came out around like 1990, 1991. It was, I think, an SSI game called Second Front. And it was each counter, each space could hold a corps from the German side. But you could pick what divisions were assigned to it, and you could also pick, to a degree, what tanks were in the division. So I'd always like the scenario, like you could do the you could do the Barbarossa, you could do Case Blue, and you go in Case Blue and go, all right, let's see who's over in, and I was playing Command Decision at the time. So I was like, okay, let's see what tanks are in this 14th Panzer Division that's attached to the 57th Corps in Army Group B or whatever it was. And I would go down, and I still have it somewhere, papers where it's like, okay, this tank division had this many Mark IV H's and this one, because it was like, all right, well, if I ever build these units, I could do. So it's got all that kind of detail in it. But I don't think it was super in depth. Like you could put like the army groups, you could switch commanders. Like you could put what commander you wanted in it. You could, they had different ratings. You're like, I don't want to put that guy in there. He sucks, But I played that game a lot. And that one you could use the keyboard to move around because it was all hexes, even though the hexes weren't displayed. I don't know if that makes any sense. So I played that game a lot. And then they made another one called. It was Italy. It was Italy and Normandy. And I played that one quite a bit, but I played the Eastern one a lot. And it was actually too easy as the Russians. It was too easy to stop them at Moscow and then drive them back. It was more challenging as the Germans against the computer. If I remember correctly. So there, you've got counters and they represent a certain corps, and you have divisions within the corps. You have all that detail that's there if you want it informationally. You play something like Advanced Third Reich, and they don't even give you names of units. I'm like, that just doesn't even remotely scratch the itch. So, not really interested in that. And in high school, there was a guy that I knew that had a couple of the Europa games, and we played the Mediterranean one. But those games aren't very user friendly. When you start playing a game where it's like, well, you fight like this, but you can't move now because if you do, then you don't have the movement to do it in the phasing stuff. When you start acting all those abstract type of phases and stuff like that, they're really difficult for a new player to come and try to pick up. So if one person that's experienced is playing against someone who isn't, it's not really a very level playing field. So. Keep trying first on Barbarossa, always lags behind reality. Keep trying over, then I get bored a week later. What was that one that Talonsoft used to do? I think it was just called Eastern Front. And that one you could do like a campaign You could play real battles, or you could do a campaign where I want to command a panzer regiment or whatever, or a panzer battalion. It would take you through these random boards where you had random objectives, and that was kind of cool. Your guys could get experience and stuff like that. The graphics were kind of, but I think the gameplay was okay. I played that one a bit, and of course they had a Pacific one as well, but I didn't give a shit about the Pacific one. I tried playing like a Japanese tank unit for a little bit, and I'm like, yeah, this is freaking boring, But never liked Steel Panthers. Hated how it looked. Everybody loved it. Never liked. Now, Close Combat. I played the hell out of Close Combat. I love Close Combat. Close Combat is as a multiplayer game with more than one person on one side would be like my ideal game, because it's basically like ASL, real life moving, and it's real time, but it's not crazy real time where you feel like you're being rushed constantly. Yeah, I never cared for how Steel Panthers looked. But Close Combat, we played the living shit out of Close Combat. One of my favorite moments in playing Close Combat was, and this was using the mods that made the game better. I think it was called the Real Red mod that we had. Me and a buddy of mine, we connected, and we were playing through the what was it called? The Russian one? I think it was called Cross of Iron. And the new one's called Cross of Iron. What was the old one called? I don't know. It was the Russian one, anyways. So I'm playing the Germans, and he's playing the Russian. He's husbanding all his points. He's retreating from a board, and he had just enough. He had just enough points to buy an OT 133. If you don't remember what that is, it's a T-26 with a flamethrower instead of the 45 millimeter gun. Tiny little thing, a little 2-man tank. And I think it's a 2-man tank. Might be a 3-man tank. Anyhow, so he has it on the reverse slope of a hill. So he's on the back side of a hill, and I got my little krauts that are going up the hill, and all of a sudden all I hear is and I look down, I look at the board, I'm like, where's that coming from? And I see these little like scabs, these tiny little crispy critters that were left where he had flamethrowed them, and I just laughed. And I didn't care that he pulled an ambush on me and stuff like that, but it was hilarious. I had these little crispy critters. So, yeah, good times on that stuff. I actually bought them, and I have them all, including a couple of them that I never got a chance to play because they kind of reissued them. I think Matrix redid them, and everybody loved the Market Garden one, and I hated the graphics on it. They looked too bright. So I haven't tried the new Market Garden, and they've got what, Panthers in the Mist, Panthers in something like that, Panthers in the Mist, which is the operation just before the Cobra breakout. I forget what it's called, but the counterattack that the Germans did in, I want to say it's early July, in the American sector. And Gateway to Caen, which is British at Normandy. And everybody hated I think it's called Big Red 1, which is kind of took Close Combat to the next level. And I thought it was pretty good. But I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of that series. First war games were the Talonsoft Battleground games at Ardennes, Gettysburg, Waterloo. Followed them up, long forgotten, called Vlad Tepes Dracula. Did a part of the Battle of Stalingrad, and I rolled up in a platoon of Flampanzers to a ruined factory that had a whole regiment of Soviets in there. Needless to say, the Germans ate barbecue Soviets. Flampanzers in late 42, they've got to be the Panzer II ones. I don't think the Panzer III Flampanzers are out yet. I don't think they used them until like early 43. The Flamingos, Panzer II Flamingo, just a weird looking vehicle. They didn't make that many of them. They made like 100 of them or something like that. And they were converted from either a Panzer II-D. It was either a C or a D, I forget. It had the big Christie type road wheels. Well, I guess all of them had the road wheels, but they had the unique road. They had the road wheels that were based on like the Martyr II. Kind of an ugly thing, but yeah, flamingos. Flam Panzers wiped out the Soviets in that factory. The player of the Soviets didn't realize I rolled the tanks up. Yeah, I can't say that I've had a lot of Stalingrad gaming. Now, one thing I do like the relief to Stalingrad. I do like Wintergewitter. I think that time period's really well balanced. You know, you got snow. The Germans can fight in that snow a little bit better. It's not the 41 snow where they just got screwed and they just couldn't go do anything. Avalon Hills, Tobruk on the Commodore 64. I always wanted a Commodore 64. My dad wouldn't get me one. Never played it. Never played any of the Commodore 64 games. Had somebody that was so jealous because they had a Bismarck game for it. I would have been all over that shit. It, you know, probably sucks by today's standards, but. And a naval computer game when I'm into naval games? I mean, come on, that would have been awesome. Okay, I think we've tinkered with this color enough. Oh, we need to add some white to it. Some white. Yeah, imagine how much fun I could have with the Huns. I could do the white Huns. Anyhow, we'll see if we go in that direction. Like I said, I'm interested in just about everything, so. Here's a tanker tidbit you might like. My grandfather was one of the first to drive a Chaffee in World War II, which is a hell of an awesome tank for a light tank. A light tank with a 75 millimeter gun, the same gun the Sherman's that has the Sherman has. Grandfather's first one to drive a Chaffee World War II, F Troop 2nd Cav. There's a pic of him in Bavaria next to one named Rita Hayworth. Your grandfather was one of the first driving. There's a pic of him in Bavaria next to the one named Rita Hayworth. And is he the driver? Oh, I bet I could find that picture online. That is pretty cool. I bet you could do a search. Fuck it, let's do it. I am a Google Meister. Well, for pictures anyways, if it's out there. All right, so we're going to do M24. Chaffee, Rita Hayworth, and we're going to do a Google image search for that. Might be easier than said and done. By the way, I do like the U.S. star on the side of a turret when it's surrounded by a round thing. I think it looks good. Again, maybe not practical. Maybe you don't want to stand out like a sore thumb. But by God, we're modelers. I don't see it right off the bat. I'm going to have to do a little bit of digging. But that's pretty freaking cool. Hopefully he came out of that okay. Radio Man, okay. I'll send a link to the one I have. Yeah, I'm a World War II nut. So one game that's a lot of fun, and it is solitaire, and it is on computer, and it is super cheap, is a game called Armored Commander 2. And it's basically I want to say rip-off without sounding like they ripped something off, but it is basically a rip-off of Patton's Best, where you manage a tank crew. And unlike Patton's Best, that's only Normandy, across the Rhine and everything. This one you can play Germans on the Eastern Front. You can play Italians in North Africa. Obviously you have the appropriate built, tanks and stuff like that. It is very retro graphics, but it is a damn good game. I haven't played it in a long time because it's a solitaire game, but if you're a World War II nut, it is a cool game. So, you don't want to do stuff like, being a Panther in Normandy because, well, you could get air attacked. It's just too easy, but it's like having like a Sherman that's not a 76. Well, you start off with one. You can be random assigned. You can like pick what tank you want or have one randomly assigned. I think that picking it is a little too easy, but there's lots of different campaigns. You don't want to take like a KV-1 and, Barbarossa, and you're like, okay, well, nobody can frickin' touch me, so. Physical was fine, a little bit of drinking after, really enjoyed handing his chocolate and candy ration to Czech orphans when they ended up in Czechoslovakia. Yeah, Chafee's didn't start coming out until, God, I want to say September 44. I could be wrong. Great little light tank. It had about as much armor as a Sherman. Are you invisible? Yes, you are. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Only 2 viewers, so yeah. So, Nordic, Ben, and Kevin. You guys are here, but it only shows 2 of you there. It's okay. The internet works in mysterious ways. Weird stuff happens sometimes, and you don't have anything explanation. It's probably the most frustrating thing about technology is, it'll work one way. It's like, oh, okay, it works like this. And then the next time it doesn't. Okay, that's enough of that lightening. All right, we'll go ahead and do the red straps because we know that that's the color that they're going to be in. We know that's the color that we're going to go with that. There's no doubt about it. No hemming and hawing. Excuse me for a moment. Dog needs to be let out. Who let the dogs out? You. If you hear a dog barking here, we got a problem. I do not have any pets. I never grew up with any. I don't hate them. I actually, as I've gotten older, I kind of appreciate dogs a little bit more. But I've had experiences with dogs that just want to run the show, you know. Yeah, Steel Panthers was really popular. I just never liked it. I didn't like how it looked, you know. I didn't like how the font was. It was a little too big. I don't know. I can't like everything. Oh, man. And some things just never ran right. I remember there was a tank simulator that came out probably the mid 90s called Across the Rhine, and it never ran well on any machine. And I bought a new computer about 5 years afterwards. I didn't even have a computer. I bought the computer game for this one guy I used to game with his computer, and never ran right on his computer. And then I got a computer. I'm like, I want to play a tank simulator. So I ended up getting, I think what was it called? It was all about a tiger. It had a tiger on the cover of it. It had a supposedly really good never ran right. Never ran right. Man, what was it called? I forget what it was. I remember way back in the day, I knew somebody who had an Apple computer, and they made a Sherman tank simulator. And it was real basic. I mean, it was almost kind of like, what was that Atari video game where you were kind of like in a tank, where you went around and you would spy things and you would shoot and you'd have to back up or whatever? It was like that, but you had a Sherman tank. And, you had to avoid stuff. And, of course, that was the only thing there. It was exciting. Like, you get to play a tank, and was it called Combat? Man, I don't remember anymore. It was a video game where it was like triangles and shit, and they were transparent and they shot at you. Didn't like how the game's bombers always blew the hell out of my Nashorn. Yeah. God, thing's got a nasty ass gun. 71 caliber 88 millimeter gun. That is a beast. Don't run in any infantry though. That doesn't even have a whole machine gun. I guess your crew could carry MP40s or something like that. I'm sure that's not all simulated in there. Yeah, Nashorn. Good looking vehicle. Good looking vehicle. The Nashorn and its HE cousin, the Hummel. It was basically almost the same vehicle. I'm sure there was differences in it, but the Hummel had a 150. All right, red. Let there be red. Gott kvold. Okay. Sounds like something you order at a Swedish restaurant. What is a Swedish restaurant? The buffet at IKEA? That's the closest you're going to come to that around here. close. Good evening in Icelandic. Ah. Iceland, the land of the penis museum. I had a friend of mine that went to Iceland and he took pictures, not there, but they was searching for that museum that I came across. They have a freaking penis. What the hell? They have a museum of like sea animals and stuff, and they've got like I've seen it. It's freaking gorgeous. The sperm whales and stuff like that. All like I don't know if it's the real animal or just like a copy of it or whatever, but really cool. Lots of sea creatures and stuff. For Nordic's sake, because he doesn't speak English. Battlezone. That's the game, Kevin. That's the game. I used to like that as a kid because I didn't know any better. Remember the one with the U-boat game, whatever it was called? That stuff's stupid. I'd never play that. I'm not one of those people like, oh, let me play these retro games. No, they sucked back then, and we have better stuff now. I've done my time with those crappy video games. I don't need to go back and play them. I've actually considered building a Viking army. But I do the fast blade one because everybody's got the solid one. But don't have any Viking in me that I know of. Just think it'd be too much of the same thing. Too much fast blade. I will be right back. Gravitine Tactics turned me on to the ugliest stug in town, the Stug 33B. It is ugly as shit, isn't it? Oh, the pain that thing could do in the right situation. Sure, it's a 150, man. Yeah. Gravitine Tactics. I haven't played that one. I know which one you're talking about, and I haven't played. What's the one that the Eugen people do? They have a Normandy one and they have a one on the Eastern Front. But I think that's just a click fest. Like you're constantly like run over here and do and do that. I don't think that's very calming. I'll be right back. So last September, I kept trying to speak Icelandic, but the Icelanders all speak English and just roll their eyes. Even small children tend to choose English when playing together, complete with American slang from TV. Oh boy, Icelandic's probably close to what the Vikings spoke. This makes it impossibly difficult. Scandinavian languages all have too many vowel sounds. I speak Viking, let me get my axe. I have a condition in my hand that some call Viking's disease. More than likely proves the Viking blood in me. Which reminds me, I gotta pick up the Vikings again. I watched, I think, like 4 seasons, and it just kind of fell apart. It's too many things to do to sit there and watch television. All right, so we know what the shield's going to look like because he looks like the other one. Oh, I never finished the red. Well, I really need to keep myself on a short leash here. The idea that I can get this figure done by tomorrow's morning session is pretty exciting, you know. I actually picked up seasons 1 and 2 from the library as well as Das Boot. All the Viking talk makes me want to play Saga. Welcome, Rick. There you are. I have never played Saga. I think we would enjoy playing Saga with that board that makes you do things like, okay, what do you want to do? Well, what did you roll on the thing? You know what's actually a pretty decent game is Lion Rampant. I think Lion Rampant's a pretty decent game because it has that push your luck. Boy, this thing got all boogered up big time. It has that push your luck mechanism that we really like. And you could just play with these style stands and just mark off casualties. It's okay. Dupuytren's contraction. Wow, that sounds like something you learn in diagramming sentences that I don't like so much, that I wasn't good at in English class. Today we're going to learn about whatever you called contraction. Second edition of Lion Rampant is out this month. I wonder how different it is. I think it's a pretty cool game. My only gripe I have about it, I think it's a good basis to start something and then you can add your own flavor to it. I don't like the fact that, you know, foot units have to be 6 and mounted have to be whatever the constraint is that they have to have those number of figures. I think you can just poo-poo that and do whatever the hell you want if you're not playing in a tournament, which, you know. I think it's a cool game. Now, I didn't read through the rules. I was at a convention, and one of the guys that put on games is really good at explaining them. And, you know, we played a Reconquista battle, and Mitch and I played the good guys. I'm not going to tell you who that is. If you don't know who the good guys are, there was bastards on both sides, but my people, and we crushed them. But it was a fun game. I actually don't like playing my people. There's too much pressure. So. It's a lot easier to run people that you don't like into the ground. Not intentionally. You try to win with everybody, but you know. I think the Vikings would just be, they're just a one-trick pony. Just too much blade. You know, I enjoy armies that are a little shittier than that. So, not many changes are listed on Wargames Illustrator's type. This new version is really just a collection of Mercy's articles, the Dark Age changes, and a few other tweaks. Okay. I like them. And they're basic enough that, you know, you can add your other flavors and stuff to it, you know? I think that the push your luck mechanic is like, okay, who do I activate? The guys that are guaranteed to have me keep going, but I don't really want to move next, or the guys that I really need to move next, but I may fail the roll, and that's all I get to do until my opponent gets a bound. I think that works really well. I've played a couple of times. Good game, but you need the dice and board. I'm not a fan of having to buy special dice for games. That's Saga. Yeah. Yeah, I actually do like that. That's the reason for me to play. I want to buy those specialty dice. I mean, they look awesome. You know, the Muslim dice look really cool. That would be an incentive, but I'd have to base my 15s individually. I wonder why this is getting all gummy. Misbehaving. Rage quit like a Viking. Enough talk. Oh man. So for these guys who have not seen Versailles, the guy that gets the monk that gets captured on Vikings, whatever his character's name, Alphasan or something like that. The guy who plays him ends up playing Louis XIV, and he does other than the fact that the dumb bastard won't do a freaking French accent during the whole thing, he does a phenomenal job. He does a phenomenal job, and that's Mitch and I really enjoyed that series. And you know, if you guys have significant others that like watching the girly type of romance kind of stuff, then that might appeal to them as well. It won't appeal to my wife because she's not cool like that. She won't watch those things. But there's definitely romance type stuff in there that, you know, I don't have a problem watching that stuff. That's not what I'm there for, but you know. Versailles really is a fun show. Yeah, I was surprised. My only gripe with it, my only gripe really is that 75% of the characters make no attempt to even do a French type of accent. I think that's what's missing, you know. And it's not difficult. Just get somebody in there to, you know, to just do some mannerisms to kind of, you know. But when you've got this proper English and it's like, That's really my only gripe. Might be one of those things I might watch again, but I'll have to put it up on the TV and not really watch it because I've seen it. But that probably won't work. I'll be like, huh? And then, you know, my paint will dry on the... I don't multitask really well. But I can't be good at everything. You find yourself wishing you had the right costume to wash it in. I'm not going to go there. Koreans put out a lot of romance series. Yeah, I'm not going to. There's definitely some costumes in that series. Man, the flamboyant guy is awesome. His character is hilarious. His character is hilarious. About the other gripe I have about it is, I'm surprised that they didn't pick more attractive women to be in it. But I like the young dark hair girl at the end that ends up being the. Well, I'm not going to care if I spoil it for you. You guys should have seen it. It's been out for years. The one that ends up doing, you know, some dirty deeds. But other than that, you know, the backstabbing and stuff is really interesting. It's really, really interesting. It's really, it's done well. So. Well, I think we need to look at blue padded armor. See what I'm dealing with here, what my options are. Let's see. Let's take a look at. Byzantine. Cavalry padded armor. Well, I see a guy here. He's an infantryman. Let's take a look at that. Oh man, I like that aqua-ish color. Just a little aqua in it. All right, let's see if I can bring this up. 10th century Byzantine soldiers and scenes from the Book of Joshua. What? Well, that's not what this is. This is save image. A lot of the Byzantine guys wore, like infantry and stuff, they wore head wraps in the Arab style. Turbans. Turbans is what I want to say. Yeah, we'll put this under Byzantine shields. All right, let's go over here. Like the one where they pick this peasant to play the king, and then the king dies, and the peasant king falls in love with the queen, blah, blah. Dongyi was a dynastic struggle drama that hooked me. 60 episodes. Man, that's just a big commitment. That's a really big commitment. All right, let's go to properties. Let's do a browse. Let's go here and show you this picture, and done. And this is kind of what we're looking at. We can make it smaller. You can see it big. Yeah, the sculptor kind of did these figures wrong, because as you can see, the lowest part on this is going to be the gap in between the padded sections. And the actual figure shows that as the risen part. But it is what it is. All right, let's minuscule this up, put it up here in the corner. The guy on the left is the one I like, that aqua color. Purdy. All right. Oh, we're gonna need this. All right. Let's. I love that turban too. Yes. Let's make sure that yeah. Yep. We're not going to go all the way up to this. We're gonna stop short of it. But I think this is the right hue. I think that's the word I'm looking for this. Yeah, turbans are fun to paint. They are. I don't have any turban guys in this army though. This is a color that has not been used much. Aquamarine color. Color of like water in the Bahamas. Looks like some of those figures of mine you can't ID. Could be. If they're really old, they might have been painted incorrectly, like a lot of stuff was, but you just kind of have to roll with it. Just to make the best you can with what you have. And as long as you're happy with it, who cares? Yeah. Just finished painting 1704 French for Sharp Practice 2. While painting, it finally occurred to my tiny brain that a company on a forage party wouldn't have marched in close formation. Hard to forage marching shoulder to shoulder. Well, you know what? If you find something, you're not going to overlook it. It's like scorched earth Foraging. Sharp Practice is what? Is that Warlord's game? I've certainly heard it. (1704). Who the hell were they fighting in 1704? That's before the War of the Austrian Succession. So I guess it would be, you know, Louis XIV stuff. War of Spanish Succession. Yeah, that went to like 15, right? 1715, something like that. Two Fat Lardies? Okay. I heard good stuff about their rules. I played their World War II one. What is it? Chain of Command? I played it once and I wanted to like it. But it's a little too... It's a little too Flames of War-ish for me. Almost everyone. Yeah. Did you? Is that in 28s or 15s or? Oh crap! This guy's got leather Petruges. Petruges? Is that what I meant to say? The neck protection. We'll come back and do that. I like to do that before I add this color. We'll do that next. I think this is just gone. I think the magic drippings are gone. Last year I went to Brunswick, Georgia for a weekend, for a long weekend. And they had some battle sites there during the War of Jenkins' Ear, or as Europeans like to call it, the War of Austrian Succession. And there was a battle site there. And, you know, the next thing I know, I'm like, okay, who makes figures for this? You know, because that's how I think. I'm not going to order them, but... And they came to realize if I wanted to do that, I was going to have to do 7 years' war stuff and kind of backdate it kind of thing. Eureka 15s. Which are more like 20s. I did not know that Eureka made that stuff. Interesting. Some of the nicest figures I've ever painted are my Nan Chao from Eureka. They're some of the nicest figures I've ever painted. Really, really crisp. Really like the style they're done in, the faces, everything. Came across a set of rules today. I didn't know they made them made by Ganesha Games called something Galleons. Galleons, I think is what it is. Anybody play that? Look like a relatively easy late 1500s game. It's available pretty inexpensive as a PDF, which I think is the way to do it. It's just, man, get your game out there so people can buy it and get it in their hot little hands. They're gorgeous. Oh, crap. Now I'm going to have to look at them. I'll be right there. You've played it. Is it worth a damn? Do you have lots of options, or is it just kind of like a dice fest? You just roll dice. It's an easy with friends. Eureka miniatures, huh? Definitely worth looking at. Okay, let's look at Eureka. Eureka miniatures. I probably haven't seen them because they're probably under. They're one of those companies that under scale actually have an 18 millimeter thing you can pull down. I don't want to look at the North American one. I want to look at the one in Australia that is the easy to browse through. The US one's a pain in the ass to look through. Browse by scale. So let's go 18 mil. Eureka's the only manufacturer there, okay. English Civil War, Crimean. I didn't know they made Crimean. I didn't know they made fantasy. 7 Years Napoleonic War of Spanish Succession. They only have 3 products. General on foot, General mounted, Cannon. Oh, this must be generic. All right, what if I click on Spanish? Oh, here we go. Let's look at Spanish Grenadiers marching. Oh, those are beautiful. Very cool. Very cool. Spanish line advancing. Very cool. I guess you would use the Spanish as the French. A lot of them just use the same type of uniform. All right, now I actually want to look at something. I actually want to look at fantasy. What the hells is there for fantasy? Creatures, man, orcs, men of grandeur. Oh, I've seen these before. Men of grandeur. Men of grandeur, magician. Cool. Yeah, those look very nice. Oh man, I need to put live chat. I probably skipped a couple things that sometimes you guys will post things that'll ask me for. I have to approve them to have them show, and I always approve them because you guys aren't doing nasty stuff on there. But I need to make sure that it has that on there. Finally got my DBA reference sheet for the Site of Ancients, written in British, and having trouble understanding. Use the Catalonians for the French. Have to go. Thanks for being such good company. All right, man. Thanks for coming by. Damn it. Wish you hadn't told me about that Ganesha Games. Well, I hope I don't find some galleys I want to buy. Oh, well. I wouldn't want to do a big fleet action, just a few ships. I just want to paint them, you know? And, you know, rule set just excuse to paint things. Put them on tongue depressors. Galleons, I think is what it's called. I saw that today. And I don't know how the hell I saw it. Must be looking for A and I found B. Story of my life. No, this is actually getting a little too ragged for this purpose. Let's move to a bigger brush that has a better tip. Oh, I just remembered it was Friday. Hallelujah. I don't care if I got to mow the lawn tomorrow. Excellent. Well, we're going to try to go to bed at a decent time. We're going to try to be in bed by 10:30. That still gives us another hour. So I'm kind of on a roll. You guys did a good job of getting my juices flowing. And you know, even if I do go off and say, hey, let me look at these pictures of these figures, it keeps me awake. There's nothing worse than just being totally just oblivious to what's going on. Oh, now your comment doesn't come on the other one. Maybe top's where I need to be. Have to be in bed early. Go to a flea market in the morning. Okay. They have a... I've never been a fan of flea markets, but I saw one that is just amazing. And it's about 2 hours away from here. And really pretty cool. You know, if you're not looking for anything in particular, like I like to say, have it find you. You know, just show up and see what finds you. When you're looking for something in particular, it's annoying not to find it. You thought of having ships to enhance the look of littoral armies. You know, for my Athenians, I have one of those Zyston triremes to use as a camp. But I just never got around to finishing the trireme, you know. Or never got around to finishing the army, I should say. I only got 5 figures painted. They're real low on my priority list to do. Mitch has them, and now Randy's joining us. He has that army as well, so I'm better served working on something that none of us have. All right, let's look at the... Okay, we're kind of in the right... this may be as bright as I end up going. Meaning I'll start adding white at this point. And next we'll do the little leather on the back of the neck. And a little bit more white maybe. Let's get the leather brown back out here. Another brown. Almost 3 hours? Damn. Time flies when you're having fun. Time flies when you're getting her done. That's what was hurting me. I got like a paper cut or something like that on my finger. I was wondering what that was all about. I'm going because of 2 8-year-olds who want to go. I'm going to keep my eye open for some old Dungeons & Dragons books, maybe some Hex Encounter games or models. You know, if you're not looking for something in particular, going on flea markets or shopping or stuff like that, I enjoy doing stuff like that. But you got to go with no expectations, you know. I don't know if I'd want to go with a couple 8-year-olds, especially if not my 8-year-olds. Like the name of a book. Uncle Nordic goes to the flea market. Going with a couple of adults as well, all right? Because you don't have to watch the 8-year-olds. I don't think you have kids. It would have come up by now. Are you with child? Have child, we'll travel. Can't remember what color shirt oh, it's the light blue one. Got it. Oh, that'll work fine with the shirt underneath the padded. Reference sheet says pikes add +3 when in second rank versus foot. Is that with any element in front? No, you don't have kids. They're my cousins, twins. They stow over from time to time. Okay, the reference sheet says pikes add +3 when in second rank versus foot. Is that with any element in front? All right, let's back up. Pikes are +3, 1 unit of pikes. They're +3 versus foot. They're +4 versus mounted. Okay? 1 unit of pikes, +3 versus foot, +4 versus mounted. If you back them up with another unit of pikes, okay, the unit of pikes will add +3 versus foot, but only certain foot. So what foot does it affect? Okay, they get rear rank versus anybody except skirmishers, and that's it. I think they get it against everybody. So against bowmen, so they become basically a +6 when they're backed up by another pikeman. Both of them have to be in good going, though. So if you're in even rough going, you're not going to get rear rank helping. Okay? All right. Versus mounted, this is the one that's really hard to kind of figure out. They only give a +1, so they become a 5 total when they're against knights and elephants. They don't get them against cavalry, and they don't get rear rank against light horse. So if you have a bunch of pikes and you're fighting cavalry and light horse, don't put guys behind them, because all you're doing is tying your own folks up and not doing you any good. Hopefully that helps. And that is a change from earlier versions of DBA. Earlier versions of DBA, the factors on the pikes were the same, but they added +3 versus both. So against mounted, the pikemen were 7s. And didn't matter against cavalry, but knights were a 7 and the knight would be a 3. And now they're a 5 and the knight is a 3. So hopefully that helps. So you have to identify, are they fighting a mounted unit? First of all, are both units in good going? Because if they're not, then it doesn't matter what the factors is. You don't get rear rank. And then if you're fighting foot, is it Saloy? No. Okay. Well, if you're not fighting Saloy, you'll get rear rank with the rear unit, and he provides a +3 to his +3, so it becomes a +6. So it's 6 plus your die roll. You love that color blue. Which one? The aqua? Probably. That's a beautiful color. Aquamarine, turquoise. What's it called? What silly ass name does it have? It's always a silly ass name. Blue green. Lame. Come on, you do better than that. Yeah, but I didn't bring it all the way up. This is the color. I didn't go crazy with it because then it's good. You know, you're gonna look like, you know, that's how Howard Johnson's blue right there. That's Hojo blue. Come on, we all know what Howard Johnson's blue looks like. It's like the Miami Dolphins blue. Yeah, there's another one here I think it's called Aquamarine or Emerald something. That's a beautiful color too. Let's see if I can find it. I think it's this one right here. That's a beautiful color. You know, but you put them next to each other, you can definitely tell how much green this one is. So. And in Spanish, it's Esmeralda. Where the hell are we? We're here. Here we are. What's strange is these brushes are kind of fat. They're supposed to be more comfortable, and they're more uncomfortable. I guess it's whatever you're used to. I'm not used to that. I'm not used to Tempur-Pedic brush handles. It does look like turquoise. That's what it should be called. Exactly. Yeah, it looks different. I hope it looks different enough from this one. Yeah, one of them's greener, this one's bluer. Perfect. All right. Time to give this guy a facial. What time is it? Nah, it's still too early. I can't call it a night. I should know turquoise, being here in Arizona and all. Yep. Cactus green, cacti green. Saguaro green. There's a baby blue turquoise as well. No, you're not one of those people who has turquoise jewelry, do you? What do they call them little things? Bola ties? Make sure you give Kevin plenty of time before you call it a night so you can have time for one of his classic slow burn jokes. Why? I didn't deserve that. Maybe I just need to, maybe I need to take drugs to get it. That's always said. What is it? Pink Floyd. I never appreciated Pink Floyd. I never did any slow drugs. Well, I never did any drugs, but I don't do the slow drugs. I don't get it. That's a bright blue. Well, Rick, all you need is set yourself on fire. That won't be a slow burn enough. Oh. Yeah, he finished telling the joke and I was still waiting for the punchline. I must have made the wrong turn. I must have made a left turn at Albuquerque. Never made it all the way over here. All right. Facial time. We got all the facial colors. No, they're all freaking dead, of course. Of course. You like slow gin? SLOE gin? I've never had it. I like gin. I've just never had slow gin. Just like I hadn't had rye until last year. I don't really like rye. I had it one time, and I think it's a front burn. I don't really care for the front burn. If you're going to have burn and alcohol, I want to be on the back. You don't want to be like punished for, taking a sip immediately. It's like, geez. I don't know what slow gin is, but I do like gin. Gin's one of those things that a lot of people dislike. And that's fine as long as you're not a fan of IPAs, because IPAs kind of have that aftertaste that gin has. Kind of like a cottonmouth, a little bit. Oh, your favorite jokes are long ones. I can never remember any. Except the one joke that was told to me by a girl. And we're not going to say that one. Because it's too good to be on the air. I'd have to substitute words, and that would just, that would defeat the purpose of it. Alright, this poor bastard has eyes. Damn sculptor decided to put eyes on this guy, so now we gotta... Nope. Hell no. Yeah, I'll do. That'll do. All right. Yeah, you can swear on here, but it's a bit graphic. Let's put it that way. There's swearing like, you stub your toe. Stub your toe swearing is just fine. You know, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a word for emphasis. It's just an exclamation mark. It's a 4-letter exclamation mark, basically. That stuff's fine. Nothing's implied by it. Start getting into graphic, things that, don't really want to go there. We can go there in person, but not on a video. I got pretty thick skin in person. Well, I think we got to fix this guy's guy liner. That's not bad. This guy's got a face expression like he saw one too many Seljuks. Like, ooh, there's a herd of them over that hill. Oh. All right. Back to where we were in the color land. We were somewhere around here. We're doing a little bit of black on it. There we go. Yeah, there's a big difference between, say stubbing your toe and then, talking about anatomy. I think there's a big difference between the two. So, one, you don't have to explain to your daughter. My daughter's old enough for that now, but, I didn't necessarily have a problem with her watching stuff with me that had cursing in it, as long as it wasn't graphic. Because she'll ask what the stuff was. I would have been too embarrassed as a kid. I wouldn't watch something with an adult. I'd be like, I didn't hear anything. It's just different times. I always used to say the worst 4-letter word was work. Yep. At least they pay you for it. There's another 4-letter word you do, and they don't pay you for it. I'm guessing they don't pay you for that. Let's add some of this and some of this. Rick is a dirty 4-letter word. Well, it depends if he's showered or not. Rick, I think you work from home, right? You one of those lucky bastards that just works from home? Lucky bastard, because I got zero sympathy from people that work from home. Be able to wear whatever the hell you want. Well, I will have you know I shower daily. Yep. Got to. Well, you're not a very good gamer now, are you? You do work from home. So you see this? Hold on. Why can't I find it? Jesus. Oh, because it's over here. You see this? That's how much sympathy I have for you. None. Get to wear whatever you want all day. And I don't mean, you could just wear comfortable stuff like this. It's not like you're running around naked or something. I mean, I guess if you're into that, but good way to hurt yourself. That'd be the wrong time to make a milkshake. When I get home from work, that's like the first thing I want to do. I want to get out of my clothes and shower. It's funny, when my daughter was little, she wanted to smell my armpit, because the only part of me that smells good, because the deodorant works. The rest of you just, you smell like sweat being outside and swirling sandstorm kind of thing, breaking those gaming stereotypes by attending events and not smelling like onions. Oh, I was thinking of going to, wherever, Target or whatever, they got the little travel size little deodorants, and start throwing them at people that deserve it. But I guess, is that battery? Pelting somebody in the side of the head with a little deodorant thing? God, it just shouldn't be. That should never happen. Never happen. I know people have horror stories about people they game with that smell bad or cheat and stuff like that. And I don't know how people put up with that, I'd rather not play a game than play with a cheater. What's the point? There's nobody out there that's a cheater and is a nice person. You don't go say, Rick, yeah, Rick cheats all the time, but he's a lot of fun to be around. Guaranteed you're a dick. Guaranteed. What's the point? But then I have said, every gaming group has one person, at least one person who's an asshole. And if you think your gaming group doesn't have one, then it's you. You're the one. Just like I've seen people, like, they play role-playing games. I don't necessarily have anything against playing role-playing games, as long as you can turn that shit off when you go across the street to a restaurant. It's okay to be nerdy. We don't have to be the coolest people around, okay? Just shower and, turn that shit off when you're in the public. When you're in public. There's, one year I went to Historicon. There's a group of guys that play DVA with. One of the guys that wasn't able to make it, he was in Europe at the time. He goes every year, but he was in Europe at the time. And his buddy that he knows from college, these guys are like 10, 15 years older than me. And the guy couldn't make it, but he's always there all the time. So he took it upon himself to make a life-size cutout of him. So he could come with him, and he's literally, 5'7" or whatever. It was a picture of him, and his buddy brought him around everywhere he went, and he created a photo a photo bucket of his adventures, and it's out of control. I don't think it can be found again, but it was crazy. Like, pictures with him at the urinal. I mean, they didn't show anything, but just, in bed. They took him to Hooters, so they had a picture of the Hooter girls, or I wasn't with them. I just saw the photo thing. It's like, can you imagine when one of these gamers shows up with a full size cutout of another dude who's gamer looking, and they want picture? I mean, just like, turn that shit off when you get in public, man. Yeah, when someone discovers a cheater, the reaction usually isn't, "Oh no, not them. They're such a delight to be around." Once we leave the house and step inside the Applebee's, you're no longer Zord the wizard. Zord sounds like a wizard who's past his prime, and his prime wasn't that good. You know? Yeah, turn that shit off, folks. I don't have a problem playing a role-playing game with the folks we play with. Oh, we'd have a freaking blast. Zord the wizard. Look out! He's behind you. Oh, man. Yeah, turn that shit off, folks, man. You're gonna scare the civvies. Don't need to be a level 3 nerd burglar. I refuse to talk role-playing stuff in public. Once the game is paused, it is paused. Yep. What happens in Hellfire Club stays in Hellfire Club. Nerd burglar, that's right. What'd they call it on the Simpsons ride? Nerdenheimer. Ah, you Nerdenheimer. You finished watching Stranger Things there, Nordic? You caught up? Finally? A little bit more. A little bit more. A little brighter in a few places. Yeah, I haven't played a role-playing game since I was, 14 or 15 years old. Probably 14. But I thought that LARPing was pretty weird. And then cosplay's probably even weirder. I don't know. It's fine if people want to do that. That's just... At least dress up as somebody who you have the same body style. I mean, we're not all buff and shit and stuff, but, if you weigh 400 and something pounds, you probably shouldn't dress up as a stormtrooper. And that happened to us one time. We're at Hollywood Studios Disney Hollywood Studios, and we're waiting around. My daughter was really little; she was on my shoulders, and we're waiting for the parade, you know. And they had the 501st Stormtrooper Battalion, whatever the hell it is, of the reenactors, whatever. So we're like in 95-degree weather, and they have this parade, and these guys are like twice as big as me. And I don't mean height-wise either. I'm like, come on, man, dress up as somebody else, you know, Jabba the Hutt, maybe, something like that. Bing! A voice from above says, "Get a spear from one of the natives and go to the chief and spear him through the heart." You finished Stranger Things. Season 4 was good, better than 3. Yeah, Russia was worthless. Russia was absolutely worthless. Absolutely worthless. And honestly, so was the Nevada part too. The Nevada part was worthless. So, man, the Mexican stoner guy. Well, at least you know what? At least it doesn't promote drug use as being, you know, making you better or cooler or something like that. Because, man, Will or Mike? No. Will's brother, he's like freaking shot. The man gets a spear, fine man with biggest headdress, and spears him through the heart. Oh, are we in the middle of a Kevin joke? Bing, a voice from above says, "Get a spear from one of the natives, go to the chief and spear him through the heart." The man gets a spear, fine man with biggest headdress, and spears him through heart. Okay, ready for the next line. Yeah, the Mexican dude. What was his name? Argyle. Yeah. What's up, brochachos? You could tell they had a lot of fun filming that stuff, though. You could tell those guys they have fun together. Here we go. This is shaping up to be a Kev classic. Way to sell it, Rick. Way to sell it. They had a lot of the fashion stuff was off for 86 though. I remember 86 pretty well. You didn't read beginning. Okay, back to painting. Anywho. Yeah. Yeah, no Hummers in 1986. No Jeep Hummers, anyways, in 1986. What else was off? Um, I just like how the show. I like how the show makes all the actors and takes them and turns around and makes them look ugly. Like they're actually okay looking kids, but like, holy crap, that person looks like hell. That person looks like hell too. That person looks like hell. Yeah, I think we missed something. I don't know. I'm painting. You missed something, bro, chachos. They must have copyright issues. Well, I know that they do with music and stuff on the show because man, they don't play anything. I'm big into '80s stuff, and I didn't recognize. I'd never even heard of that Kate Bush. I'd never even heard of Kate Bush. I'm like, isn't that the woman that makes the frickin' purses? No, that's Kate Spade. Oh, I don't know. I'd never even heard that song. Maybe they didn't airplay it here, and that's the time period I listen to stuff from. So they probably were like, "Hey, we want to use this song. Okay, well, you got to pay us $3 million. Whoa, we're not using that song." I don't blame them, So yeah, I'm with you, Rick. It doesn't make any sense to me either. Maybe we need to smoke some of that peyote to for it to make sense. Oh, that part didn't come up, Kevin. Man finds himself in clearing in jungle. Notices natives surrounding him in jungle. That's starting to read like some of my favorite Chinese jokes. You know, man who go through airport turnstile backwards going to Bangkok. Girl who do back spring on bed spring have offspring next spring. Good night, everyone. All right, good night, man. How can you leave in the middle of one of Kevin's classic jokes? Yes, it's a classic, and we haven't even heard it. Oh man. That's right. Clear the schedule and for like, you know, an hour or so. All right. Well, F it. Let's just do his beard now. Doom in the beard. All right, man. Adios. See you tomorrow. What time is it? 10:15? Shit, I'm more motivated now than when I started. I gotta make sure I don't oversleep or I'll be pissed. Oh, I do not want to start off my day at 8 in the morning or something like that. No bueno. All right, where's the buff color? Buffy. For diehard viewers. Awesome. Oh, we have some contamination there. Let's not do that. We want just these two colors, the black and the buff. About there. It'd be pretty cool to seal these guys while I'm out there doing lawn work. So then I'm done and I can give them get these guys base tomorrow. Start working on the next group. Figure out what kind of shields they're going to have. And I'm not even painting all the cavalry in this army because this army can have like 9 cavalry or something. It's something absurd. They could basically replace every single unit they have with a cavalry unit, or damn near. That's just a lot of painting. I don't have enough Elaine two-layer guys to mix in with that. I got some left over. I may be able to make 2 more stands after that, but that's a bit extreme. They can have 3 stands of light horse, and I've already got all of them painted. The rest of them are like calves. Like, for instance, they can replace the artillery piece with a cav. They can replace one of the knights can be a light horse instead. So if I use all 3 light horse, I can only use 1 knight. But they can replace, the general can be a cav. They're mandatory to have 4. They can have a cav in the place of the artillery piece. They can have a cav in place of the 8 bow. And I believe they can have a cav in place of the 2 Armenian spearmen. So that's a hell of a lot of cavalry. But the Byzantine armies, unlike the earlier Roman armies, regular Roman armies were dominant foot, dominant heavy foot. And the Byzantine armies are dominant medium cavalry. No, he didn't, apparently. Did it get caught in the I needed to approve it business? I hope not. No. Yeah, we only got about a third of the joke. So yeah, Rick's not going crazy. Not yet. Not for that. Rick, did you end up playing any other kind of fantasy rules before you did the Battlefields of Mana? Was it inspired by maybe something else that you played? Oh, we don't have any white that's alive. Nope, that's not it. Over here. You played Warhammer Fantasy. Did you ever try War Master? I haven't. I've just heard good things about it. It's another one of those Games Workshop things that, oh, this looks pretty cool. Oh, we don't carry that anymore. We decided not to support it. I'm like, do you guys just like cancel everything that looks really innovative and interesting? Rank and file nature of that and the single casualty removed inspired me. Just want a simple rule set, one you didn't have to relearn if you didn't play for months. Yeah, I know the feeling. Or one you didn't have to relearn if you moved to another rule set and came back to it. You're like, how the hell do you play this again? It's really the mechanics that become really complicated. It's not the factors like, well, what are dragons against spear again? You know, that shit's easy to remember. But it's the, okay, how do you contact this? Or who goes, you know, that kind of stuff is just really awkward. And really no reason to play all kinds of different mechanisms. They're trying to achieve the same thing. Your internet is screwed up. It could be. I saw Rick answer your question before you asked it. Yeah, could be. All right, well, I'm going to go for tonight. And we'll be back on in the morning. And we'll finish this guy in the morning session. And thanks for hanging out with me, folks. And as always, if you guys are up early, we'll see you in the morning. And we will go from there. Have a good night, folks. Enjoy what's left of your Friday. And